Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's controversial Assistant Commissioner of Police Irvin Hackshaw suspended. This story takes the lead in our 945th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday 18th September 2020. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has taken a course of action to suspend Assistant Commissioner of Police Irvin Hackshaw. The suspension is with immediate effect. Trinidad's TV6's Alicia Boucher has the details.
According to the police service, the decision to suspend ACP Irvin Hackshaw follows certain recommendations made on Tuesday by the Police Complaints Authority to the Police Commissioner after a meeting between both parties. Griffith says the latest findings and recommendations were outlined in the PCA's report dated 15th September 2020, adding that the TTPS is liaising with the Director of Public Prosecutions, Roger Gaspard, and is awaiting further directions on the way forward. The Commissioner states now that the PCA's investigation, which began in March of this year, has been concluded, he is in a position to take action. The matter stems from allegations that ACP Hackshaw had been involved in suspicious financial transactions to the tune of close to $2 million. The top cop had faced criticism by some over his seeming failure to act against the ACP. But the Commissioner outrightly stated weeks ago that he was not prepared to give in to the pressure placed on him by internal and external elements, including media articles, noting that the investigations into Hackshaw at that time were incomplete. The Commissioner differentiates between the now concluded report and the one received from the PCA in August, saying the recommendations given prior pushed for disciplinary action to be taken against Hackshaw based on an initial report. According to Griffith, the PCA's recommendations coming out of the completed investigation are on a premise that a criminal offense may have taken place. As to whether the ACP has been suspended with or without pay is unclear. As the Commissioner says, at this time, he is prepared to comment no further on the matter. Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Having already spent US $1 billion in its more recent oil and gas exploration campaign in Trinidad and Tobago, energy giant BHP Billiton is continuing to show confidence in Trinidad and Tobago's oil and gas potential as it is set to drill the deepest well ever drilled in local waters. TV6's Jewel Brown reports.
BHP Billiton, Trinidad and Tobago Limited President Vincent Pereira said that oil and gas exploration was already complex and high risk before the COVID pandemic.
Doing so under the COVID protocols that we must now follow to assure the health and safety of our people adds a stunning additional layer of complexity to the work that we're doing. I say this simply to recognize, I suppose, the heroic efforts of so many in ensuring that we keep our industry going even during these very, very challenging times.
The central bank's latest economic bulletin, issued on Tuesday, said that the collapse in energy prices in 2020 due to the economic fallout of COVID-19 has resulted in an anticipated $9.2 billion drop in government revenue during the financial year 2019 to 2020. At the press conference, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said exploration, especially deepwater exploration, requires high capital investment, and in difficult times, the nation must adapt and persevere to make good on those investments.
I'm well aware that we are only partway there, and that is even if there is a significant oil find. There may be other hurdles that stand between these discoveries and their commercialization. The reality is that these challenges may be greater than the ones we have faced in the past because of the fact that commercialization in deep water would be relatively new territory for us.
Hopefully it will be a success, but we will define success in different ways. One is that we find hydrocarbons, hopefully. The other, of course, is all that we learn with regards to how the rocks work and how the petroleum system possibly works in that area.
TV6 News posed a question to Energy Minister Franklin Khan, asking him to elaborate on his statement at the press conference that the production sharing contracts had been amended.
If you had a production sharing contract to drill 2 exploration wells, and the first well was a dry hole, and another production sharing contract had a commitment for 1 well, and that was a discovery. Obviously, BHP will say we cannot throw away money after the unsuccessful block. So if they can migrate that additional well to the block that has found gas, and that is the flexibility that was offered by the government and the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industry, bearing in mind, as the Prime Minister said in his address, that the overall program commitment was kept.
Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
More reaction is pouring in to the death of Calypso icon Sir Rupert King Swallow Philo. Tributes are coming from 2 other Calypso legends who shared the stage with him in the past decades, King Obstinate and King Shortshirt, the triumvirate whose music defined the era. They remember the intense musical battles and the camaraderie they shared as they spoke with ABS's Terry Andrew.
Sir MacLean Emmanuel, also known as King Shortshirt, was among those who visited the late Sir Rupert King Swallow Philo only weeks ago. He didn't know this would have been the last time he would have seen the Calypso icon alive.
The good things that I said about him, now that I listen to the many things people are saying, if those things were said maybe a month before he died, maybe those would have been encouragement. Maybe now he would have still been alive. So why wait until you're dead for all these wonderful things to be said about you? It's nice to know about you, but let you know while you are alive.
The monarch says he will remember Sir Rupert for the classics he left and the many musical battles they enjoyed throughout the years.
And for the people of Antigua and Barbuda, we all need to remember Swallow as a national hero. He has made a great contribution. You cannot count 5 people in Antigua that make a better contribution than Swallow. I just want to say, for what he has done, give him what he justly deserves, even though he is done. If something is for a man, let him have it.
Sir Paul King Obstinate Richards, another legendary entertainer, decorates the walls in his home with the great Calypsonians who impacted his career. Of course, Swallow is among the greats. He tells me King Swallow's legacy will live on.
As a fearless fighter, he fights, and when we compete, he don't care about losing. It was all about like making this contribution, what he did for us abroad. You know, he promoted Antigua and the way he did in Trinidad, America, and Canada, England, all over the world. He promoted the country. And he did a lot more.
The rivalry was such that they could sing and poke fun at each other and still make up after. King Obstinate shares this memorable anecdote involving King Swallow.
The last show we did together was Fort James for Labor Day, for the Labour Party. And you know you have them long jackets you just wear. So when they called me up on stage, I went on stage and me start singing. Swallow long jacket, have cockroach in the pocket. Swallow long jacket, have cockroach in the pocket. And the whole crowd started to sing. Swallow long jacket, have cockroach in the pocket. And oh God, he was mad at me for months and months. I tried to make up with he. He said, "You don't want nothing to do with me." He said, "But King Jack, I just calypso, just try to get the crowd for a away. I don't worry that man." He said, "Listen, as long as you see me, now talk to me. Your boy hear me tell him to talk to me. You get to me." But then we got over it.
As King Obstinate and King Shortshirt extend condolences to the family of Sir Rupert, they both say they will never forget sharing a stage with King Swallow, who left a legacy that will live on forever. Terry Andrew, ABS News.
My intention I am stating clear.
Over in Guyana, during budget debates at the Arthur Chong Conference Center on Tuesday, the Member of Parliament representing Government's Business, Lee Williams, proffered that indigenous people did not benefit from a good life under the coalition government, while Viceroy Jordan, representing the opposition coalition, noted that the 2020 budget does not cater to the development of the livelihoods of residents of Region 5. Wendell Badri of HGP Nightly News reports.
During the afternoon session of the 2020 budget debate, Honourable Member Dr. Vishwa Mahadio, representing the Government's Business in the National Assembly, posited that the previous budgets, in which the APNU AFC government boasted of creating a good life for Guyanese, instead saw the increase of taxes on a number of basic commodities, while they also removed the $10,000 cash grant for school-aged children, as well as subsidies for water and light. He spoke extensively of the healthcare sector in Region 6, while questioning who really benefited from the Good Life budget presented by the previous administration.
In the Auditor General's report for 2018, quote, comparison of the prices paid for drugs and medical supplies procured by the regional administration from local suppliers with that of the prices paid by MMU.
On behalf of the opposition coalition, Dineshwar Jaiprasad rebutted by remarking that it would appear as though the $10,000 cash grant is the only thing the PPP ever accomplished in their tenure, since many speakers have been alluding to it. During his presentation, he focused heavily on local government, reminding that the PPPC administration had held only one local government election in its 23 years in office, which speaks poorly of their stance on democracy.
The Honourable Member Mr. Indar, the Honourable Minister, who said yesterday that APNU AFC took away the 10,000 grant from the people. I wish to tell this Honourable House that the $10,000 grant was a one-shot and done. And the APNU AFC government did not believe in one-shot and done. So the APNU AFC government moved the minimum wage from 35,000 to 70. And if my mathematics...
Barry Ramsaran, representing the government faction in the National Assembly, meanwhile, utilized his time allocated to scold and chastise a number of opposition members, opining that they will remain on that side of the House for a very long time.
We put aside that one of your younger members, but I advise, I know you do this, give him a little talk. How to fact check, I think that's a fancy term they're using now. Facts check over ABC and CNN and so on, facts check. And they're doing it a lot with Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, who is one of the most powerful men in the world, if not the most powerful, go to fact check. So I'm advising you, sir, you're not as powerful as he is.
Honourable Member Catherine Hughes noted government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic while focusing on achievements in information communication technology, ICT, under the previous administration. He highlighted that it would appear that Guyana might be returning to days when mass killings and disrespect to women were the order of the day under the PPP regime.
Mr. Speaker, one would have hoped that Budget 2020 would be transformational, that it would achieve all that the previous government failed to do in these 4 long years. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. But we can see the same political agenda of the PPP and the continuation of a failure to put Guyana first.
Wendell Badri for the HGP Nightly News.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.